As we come to the end of our journey through democracy, one important question remains. What does democracy really do? What outcomes can we expect, and does it actually deliver on them? Understanding the outcomes. Democracy is often praised as the best form of government. Why? Because it promotes equality among citizens, enhances the dignity of individuals, improves the quality of decision-making, provides a peaceful way to resolve conflicts, and allows room to correct mistakes. But here's the dilemma. While people strongly support democracy in principle, they often feel disappointed by its practice. Democracy looks good on paper, but reality does not always match expectations. More than 100 countries today claim to practice democracy. They have constitutions, hold elections, run political parties, and guarantee rights to citizens. But democracies differ widely in their achievements, depending on their history, culture, and economy. It's important to remember, democracy is a form of government. It cannot solve all problems by itself. What it does is create the conditions for equality, justice, and freedom. It is up to citizens to use these opportunities to achieve real change. So when we assess democracy's outcomes, we must ask, do we value it only for moral reasons, or also for the practical benefits it brings? The answer lies not just in the system, but in how we as citizens make use of it. In a democracy, citizens expect one thing above all: a government that is accountable, responsive, and legitimate. In democracy, rulers are chosen by the people, and people must have control over them. Citizens should be able to participate in decisions that affect their lives. That is why the most basic outcome of democracy is a government that listens and responds to its citizens. Some critics say democracy is less efficient than dictatorship. After all, non-democratic rulers can take decisions quickly without debate. But speed is not the same as effectiveness. Decisions taken without consultation often face resistance. Democracies, though slower, make decisions through discussion and procedures, which makes them more acceptable and lasting. Another strength of democracy is transparency. Citizens can question whether a decision was taken through proper procedures. This ensures governments cannot act in secrecy the way non-democratic regimes often do. Still, democracies don't always live up to expectations. Elections are not always fair, public debates may be limited, and corruption remains a challenge. Democracies can ignore people's needs too, but so can non-democracies. The difference is, in a democracy, people have the right to question and change their rulers. There is one area where democracy clearly wins: legitimacy. Even if it is slow, imperfect, or sometimes frustrating, democracy is the people's own government. Across South Asia, surveys show overwhelming support for democracy, even in countries that do not practice it fully. People believe democracy is best suited for their nations. So democracy may not always be efficient or corruption-free, but it remains the most trusted form of government. Because in the end, legitimacy comes from the people themselves. Does democracy always lead to economic growth and development? The answer is more complex than it seems. Studies of the 50 years between 1950 and 2000 show that, on average, dictatorships had a slightly higher rate of economic growth than democracies. But when we look at poor countries, the difference almost disappears. Economic development depends on many factors: population size, global conditions, foreign cooperation, and government policies. Democracy may not always bring faster growth, but it ensures fairness in decision-making and provides people with a voice. Another challenge is inequality. Democracies can still have extreme income gaps. For example, in South Africa and Brazil, the richest 20% of people take more than 60% of the national income. But not all democracies are unequal. Countries like Denmark and Hungary show a more balanced distribution, where the top 20% take about 1/3 of the income, while the poorest 20% receive close to 10%. So, if we judge democracy only by growth numbers, dictatorships may appear slightly ahead. But when it comes to fairness, participation, and dignity, democracy offers far more. It may not guarantee prosperity, but it ensures that development is shaped by the people, for the people. Democracy is based on the idea of political equality: one person, one vote, one value. But when it comes to economic equality, the story is very different. We expect democracies to reduce inequality and poverty. Yet in reality, a small number of ultra-rich control a huge share of wealth, while millions struggle to meet basic needs. Basic needs like food, clothing, housing, education, and health are still unmet for millions. In India, poverty remains widespread despite economic growth. The poor form a large part of the electorate, yet governments often fail to respond fully to their needs. Growth does not automatically mean a fair share for everyone. The problem is worse in some other countries. In Bangladesh, more than half of the population lives below the poverty line. Across the world, many poor nations depend on rich countries even for food supplies. So while democracy gives everyone an equal voice in politics, it has not been very successful in ensuring economic equality. Reducing inequality and poverty remains one of democracy's greatest challenges. Does democracy really bring harmony in society? Or does it simply stop people from fighting each other? The truth lies in how democracies accommodate social diversity. In Belgium, we saw how democracy negotiated between Dutch and French-speaking communities, creating power sharing that prevented conflict. Democracies reduce the chance of tensions turning violent by offering procedures for compromise and negotiation. No society can fully eliminate conflicts between groups, but democracy allows respect for differences and creates mechanisms to manage them, unlike dictatorships, which often suppress diversity. But democracy only works if two key conditions are met. First, majority rule must work with the minority so that government represents everyone. Second, majority rule should not mean domination by one religion, race, or language. Democracy remains democracy only when every citizen has the chance to be part of the majority at some point. If people are excluded because of birth or identity, democracy fails to be truly accommodative. True democracy, equal sign, unity in diversity. One of democracy's greatest strengths is its ability to promote dignity and freedom for every individual. Conflicts often arise because some feel they are not treated with respect. The passion for dignity and freedom lies at the heart of democracy, making it far superior to other forms of government. Take the dignity of women. For centuries, societies were male-dominated. Through long struggles, women won recognition that equality and respect are essential to democracy. Even today, discrimination persists, but now women have both legal and moral grounds to fight it. The same applies to caste in India. Democracy has strengthened the voices of disadvantaged castes, demanding equal status and opportunity. Inequalities still exist, but they lack legitimacy. Democracy gives people the power to resist and demand justice. In democracy, people constantly raise expectations and complaints. Far from being a weakness, this is a sign of success. It shows that people are aware, critical, and empowered as citizens, not just passive subjects. Today, most people believe their vote makes a difference to their lives and to how governments function. That belief itself is the greatest proof of democracy's success in ensuring dignity and freedom for all.